So you guys, to create the pattern, you have to go watch the previous video, and this particular video is how I was able to sew this piece together. Now the first thing I did was iron my interfacing to my fabric. So right now, this is the fabric I'm using. This is the right side. I just ironed my interfacing to the wrong side, and that is the white stuff you can see on my fabric. So what I'm going to do now is fold my fabric into two because I want to place my pattern. Now this is what you're going to do. The center front of the corset pattern should sit on a close edge, unless you want to have a sew in the middle, a stitch in the middle of your corset. Now I'm just going to place the cup to the side. I'm placing all of them, all the patterns together. That's for the front. I'm placing them together to cut. And once I'm done cutting, I'll cut the lining and also the back pattern. So like I said, if you've not seen the video of how this pattern was created, I would advise you go click on that video first, watch that, create your pattern, and then come join us here to cut. I'm just going to cut, and while cutting, I'm going to leave ½ inch allowance on all points around the pattern. ½ inch allowance, minus the center front of the pattern that has the center front. I won't leave any. I'll just leave ½ inch on the side. Now I'm cutting the side, and it has to be into two because I have to join this to the center front. So go ahead and leave allowance on all part of your pattern. So right here we have the center front, we have the back piece, I have my cups, and then I have my side front piece. Now each of this is into two, and each of them has lining. So this is the back. You guys remember to notch your darts, your back darts, unless you want to cut the dart out and then sew it back, then you can do that. But if you're not doing that, go ahead and notch so you don't forget where you're supposed to sew. Now this is the fabric for the back piece and also the lining. This is the fabric for the cups, and it has its lining. This cup is for the center front, sorry, and I have all my points notched. This is the lining. You can see it has the notch. Make sure you notch. It's going to really help you join your cups. So now this is the center front, and as you can see, this is how it looks. I have the lining here, and I'm just going to place it with the other lining. And this is the cup for the side. You can see I have the S at that side, which is side, and I have the X where it's going to meet the other center front cup. Now this is the side pattern, and I have this with the lining also. So each of this pattern fabric has its lining, and this is how I'm going to join. This is the center front. I'm going to sew the sides together like this. I'm joining the side to the center front, and then I'll sew my cups together, and then I'll attach it to where they are all supposed to sit like this. Now I already did this on the lining. I already sewn the lining, and as you can see, after attaching the front, I also sewed my back to each of the sides. Now you know the back is splitted into two because of the zip, so I sewed the back to each of the sides. And now this is the center front. This is how I'm going to join. I'm going to take one piece of the sides like this, and then I'll place it right side facing right side, and then on the interfacing I'm going to sew by ½ inch. So you guys, when sewing your front, your corsets, you take your time. You don't need to rush. You don't need to hurry. You just need to take your time to achieve what you really want. Now once I'm done sewing, this is how it looks. Now the shape for the cup, you can see it on the fabric. So the next thing I'm going to do is take the other side and place it right side facing right side and sew by 1/2 inch to create the space for the next point where the cup is going to sit. Okay, so now that I'm done doing this, the next thing I'm going to do is sew the cups together. So I'm done with the front for now. I'm just going to take the cups and I'm going to pick one fabric for the cup for the side piece and then one for the center. You know, there's one cup for the center, which the C, you can see the C and the X and the S and the X. And I'm just going to make sure that the notch points I notched on my fabric is there. Like, I make sure I notch where the middle point of the cup is, and then I'll make sure that those notch sits together, and then I'll sew by 1/4 inch. So when sewing, I'm just going to carefully sew this. I'm just going to keep turning at where I'm supposed to turn. I'm not going to drag this. I'm just going to make sure that each point sits on where it is supposed to sit. And once I am done doing that, this is what I have. The cup is looking beautiful already. I also want to see another stitch on my cup. This is optional. You don't have to do this, but this is what I want. So I'm just going to sew in the allowance. I'll take the allowance on one side of the cup and then I'll go ahead and sew this in again so that I can be able to see 2 stitch like visible in the front. Yeah, so I'm just sewing in the allowance on one side of the cup. I just pick the side and then I sew this in. And now this is how it looks. You can see I didn't do this on the lining, I'm just doing this on the front piece, and this is how my cup looks. So I'm just going to repeat the same step, and this is my 2 cups. And you remember we joined this part of the front already, so now I'm just going to place each of the cups where they are going to sit. Remember that your side cup is supposed to sit on your side and your center front cup is supposed to sit on your center front. And then when you're sewing, it is advisable, it is very, very necessary for you to pin this together before sewing, unless you're professional and you already know how to eyeball this. But no, me, I'm still a beginner, and I'm just going to go ahead and pin my cup so that I make sure that each point carefully sits on where they are supposed to sit. I don't want to lose this after sewing. I just want to get it at the first trial, so I'm just going to go ahead and pin. And this is how it looks, guys. So now I'm sure that I can sew. I'll go ahead and sew my cup. I'll just carefully take each pins out while I sew, and I'll gradually and carefully sew my cup. Now I am done doing that. Like, what I did was also join the back piece, like I showed you guys on the lining at the beginning of the video, before the sewing parts. I did the same thing on the fabric. I sewed this the back to each of the side that it's supposed to sit. And now I'm just going to take my lining and place it right side facing the fabric right side, and then I'll go sew on the top of the my tube, like I'll sew on the cup, I'll sew on the back piece. So I'll go ahead and sew all the upper part of this top. I'll just sew by 1/4 inch. So from the beginning here to my cup, down to my center front, and then to the next cup, I'll just make sure each point sits where they are supposed to sit. And it is advisable for you to just pin this. So before you sew, you just pin, and it will be easy for you to sew. Now I am done. This is how it looks. And guys, don't forget to notch after sewing. It is necessary, it's advisable for you to do that so that each point comes out the way it is supposed to come out. Sorry. So now I am done. I'm just going to flip this back to the right side, and guys, this is what you have. Now I am not done yet with the upper part. I'll still go ahead and give this a top stitch. So but before then, I'm just going to iron this out, doing this off the camera, or iron this out, and then I'll go ahead and top stitch. So I'll sew from the beginning like this, just the way I did the first time. I'll sew and then to the end of the back, the other side of the back piece, and this is what I have. What I did was I cut out 1.5 inch before, and now I'm cutting out 1/2 inch again, making it 2 inches. That is what I took out from the back piece. Now why I'm doing this, it is optional. If you're going to use your zip allowance, this is where you're supposed to sew in your back like this, and then when you turn this back, you go ahead and sew your zip. But then I'll be using eyelets for my back. I went ahead to sew this by 1/2 inch, and this is what I have. And why I did this again, why I took off 2 inches from my back piece, like at the middle of this video I decided to use eyelets instead of the zip. So I just wanted to have straps at the back of my tube top. That is why I did this. So now I am done sewing in the back, and what I'll do is I'll go ahead and fold the base by 1/2 inch up and down. I'm just going to be folding it in. So I'll go ahead and fold the base of my tube by 1/2 inch. I'll fold the lining. I'll also fold the fabric. I'll fold this in by 1/2 inch, and then I'll go sew on it. I'll go top stitch on it. I'll do this from the beginning of the back to the end. And this is what I have now. You guys, I don't know if you've seen my video, a previous video I did using my leather punch hole tool, but anyways, if you've not seen it, that is what I'll be doing right now. I'll be creating holes. I went ahead to sew by 1 inch because now from that 1 inch I'll be creating holes for where my eyelids will be sitting. So and the points I'm going to be doing is I'll be giving this 1 inch apart. So each of the eyelids is going to sit 1 inch apart. So I'm just going to keep marking 1 inch apart. And now once I am done, I'll go in with my scissors to open this up, or open each of the points that I've indicated, because I need to pass my eyelets, I need to pass them through the holes. So like I said, if you know you're going to use your zip allowance, you don't need to cut it out like I did. What you just have to do is, after sewing the top and top stitching, you go ahead and sew in your back, the back, just the way I did, and then you fold in the base. And once you're done folding in the base, you just go ahead and sew your zip, your tube top, and then you're done. But me, I decided to use eyelets. That is why I took off 2 inches. So you don't need to do that, it's optional. So now I'm just passing my eyelets through the holes I created. And this is the tool I'm going to be using to hold down the eyelets to my fabric. I don't know what this is called. I don't know what's the name for this particular tool, but this is the one I am supposed to use on this eyelid. So this is what I'm using, and this is how it looks once I'm done doing that. As you can see, what I'll just do is go ahead and pass the eyelids through all the holes that I have created, and I'll show you guys how the back looks. I hope this video was helpful to you guys. I hope this is what you're expecting, and please let me know if you were expecting more though. This is all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, like, share, and also if you're new on my channel, just go ahead and subscribe. So this is what it looks like after I was done with that step. So what I'll do right now is pass my straps. So I already created the straps. Very simple to create. You just cut out 1 inch of fabric, sew them wrong side to wrong side, and flip this to the right side, and then you have a strap. So I'll just pass my straps through the eyelets. So this is how I was able to create my own tube top. Please let me know if this was helpful, and if you're able to create one, share your pictures with us. You can send it to me on my Instagram or my email. I have that all on the description box below. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate. I love you guys so much, and always love and light to you. I'll be seeing you guys on my next video. Yeah.